So this is kind of a crazy question. So I would like to know how many non-contractual, non-human, not human, non-union, sorry, raises happened or are about to happen in the town this year, and how much is that dollar amount? Like, how much in total are people getting raises this year?
See, you have that because we emailed that out.
I know. I'm asking for a total. Publicly. I'd like to know how many people, number
Well,
one,
why don't you just read off the sheet that's in front of you?
I don't know exactly where it is. Where is it?
Not in front of her.
Yeah, I don't know where it is. And I don't understand why somebody can't just answer that question and have it said
So you want us
publicly.
to tell them because you already
Yes.
know? Okay.
Yes.
So can you just read off the numbers for them?
I'm not sure what we're
I
looking
think you're asking for non-rep employees.
Right, the spreadsheet.
Excuse me?
You're asking for non-rep employees, people who are not part of a union.
Correct. Just people, people who, department heads who
Department heads are
got,
part of a union.
okay,
So your non-rep employees, you don't have that many.
okay,
You have two of us.
okay,
You have HR,
okay.
the two employees in HR.
Yeah, just read it off because she wants them to hear that and I want them to hear it as well.
Yeah, are you asking?
And I'll explain each one, so go ahead and read it off.
Well,
Read off
that
the-
and
The sheet that you sent out,
others.
pull it up and just tell these folks.
So while Justin's getting that up, I'll just let you know how many we have. So it's me and Justin who are non-rep.
Okay,
You have Tara and Sherry, our HR department, who's non-rep. Deputy Town Manager Kelly Karen is non-rep, and Tanya, the
Is-
executive assistant, non-rep. And we're non-rep because of the confidential information that we have access to. So we are not part of a bargaining agreement. We are labored, or our contract is under the non-rep
so
contract.
I would like to know that area, how much we spent, or we're spending, or about to spend, in raises for that small group of people.
Deb, Sarah, we also have two attorneys.
Oh, yes, we have two
Mr. Bernard.
prosecutors over at the PD who are
So
part of
that's how
non-rep.
many people and how much money?
Yes, and the library is technically non-rep, but they are under their library
Well,
personnel
that's
contract.
separate. I'm not even
Okay.
counting the library because they're supposed to be a separate
Yep.
government. I'm talking about
Yep,
the town side
yep,
of it.
he's
So
he's doing the math.
that's fine. You guys can ask other questions.
Yep, I'd get it.
Justin, I get this. So I can talk to you folks out there because that's who this is directed to. So we start at the top. The town manager went from $170,000 to $187,931. That's the change. The assistant town manager is now the deputy town manager, went from 128 to 146. The executive assistant went from 67 to 93. The human resource director went from 133 to 140. The finance director went from 143 to 162, and the controller went from 103 to 120. Those were the changes that they wanted me to tell you about, that they're aware of.
I couldn't hear you at all over here. I'm sorry.
Well, you have it, though, so you know this already, so you have
I'm
it.
sorry?
You have this, so it's a matter of communicating to them, like you wanted me to do, which I just did.
Yeah. And what was that total dollar amount? I couldn't write it down or quick enough.
So I have a total of 120 for those, and it goes to 131 if you include the other two non-rep employees with the police department.
So it was 120,
120.
and that was for what, 5, 6 people?
7.
7 people.
Do you want to know why? Because that should be the next question. I know
No,
that you do.
I'm looking,
So
oh,
when you,
sorry.
he wants to know why.
I'd like to know what the average percentage is. So what was that increase on average for everybody? Well, how much did they get?
I don't-
Like, was it 20%, 5%, 6%?
16.8 on average.
16.8, and then the union guys only got 3 to 8%?
No.
No?
No.
Good, you can help me with this, because I'm not math.
The now Director of Admin Services got a 25% increase. I assume that's related to the change in job title and description. The finance payroll coordinator got an 8.28% increase, and the finance assistant got, again, a change of title, 11.6%.
So for personally, I would like to see, maybe within the next day, the job descriptions. I'd like to see the old one and the new one and what's changed and what justifies that rate, those increases at that such high amount. At this point in time, where we sit with, do we get rid of fire, police, and safety, or do we take care of these guys? Can we do it more incrementally in steps at certain amounts
You should've.
over the year? I mean, it seems to
should've.
me that we're taking a big chunk.
Yes.
You don't have the big chunk, really, because, and no offense, these people do a great job. They're doing a lot of stuff, and they're taking on more responsibility and should be taken care of. But it should have been happening on a more normal kind of increment year after year, not just a boom, here you go.
Which is what we're doing.
Especially when we have what we're trying to cut. It bothers me to look at, cutting fire, police, DPW, but these are emergency services needed for these people. So that's why I
Yes.
was looking there.
In order for those emergency services to work, all these support services have to be able to be there to function and be able to provide that support. HR, finance, that has to happen to make that happen. Otherwise,
I
those-
understand, we're not saying to get rid of them, I'm saying to make it a more palatable steps.
I don't think that's possible, because correct me if I'm wrong, this money's already spent.
What?
these increases have occurred, yes.
So it's already spent. It's not,
Yeah, we can't just cut that out all of a sudden.
I just don't understand why we didn't have it.
Well, you haven't asked. If you let me finish, you might get an answer to that question.
Okay,
Okay.
Go ahead, sir.
So-
Let him finish.
yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
So the reason why I did that is, as you know, we're undergoing a wage classification process right now, because your wages, depending upon what they are not they're not competitive. We have two things that we need to do. We need to retain the good quality people that we have, and we need to recruit new people to fill these jobs. We were forced, as we were walking into this winter, this first storm, with being down basically a third of our plow truck workforce. Something needed to be done. I took those steps, and we didn't even talk about those yet. I took those steps to increase those salaries to make sure that when we brought people in laterally, if you had 10 years of service working for another DPW department, you would start those people out as a one-year employee. You would not credit them for that service, that experience, that ability to do that. We have now done that, and we've been able to fill most of our positions, but even now, we still are short too, and we don't have a whole lot of applicants to be able to fill those, because we are not competitive in the marketplace to do that. And we want to retain the workers that we have invested time in, we have invested money in, that other people are going to take advantage of. There are communities in this state, especially when it comes to these two folks over here, where you can't find finance people. Literally, there is nobody to do their books. That is horrifying to me and should be to you as well. And your folks are way underpaid compared to what they are. When you look at what their other communities are paying these people, and we didn't talk about the DPW director too, let's not forget that one. So when we looked at what the DPW director is making here, it was $126,000 a year. We hired a deputy DPW director, that engineering position we couldn't fill for 3 years, at $125,000. So the person running the place is making $1,000 more. If I look at the DPW directors in other communities, they're all making up in the mid-150s. I increased his salary to $148, which is the top of the range we have in the contract. And if you look at his job, compared to his job and what the fire chief should be, they're making 160s, but they have the same level of responsibility and duties that the other department heads have. Which is why a wage classification system is presently underway to do that. So the changes I made still are not competitive yet. Still are not doing that.
well, I also think when you make these changes to be competitive, everything has to be considered. Like you said, time of being here. You know, we pay 100% health insurance. Did the other places pay 100% health insurance? Are they getting full dental? Are they getting what are they getting for benefits? Like DPW's, the union, the 5 hours of overtime. Those kinds of things have to be looked at when you look at the salary number to make sure that it's not just a salary number, because it's not. There's a lot that comes into play.
I would agree. And as you know, before I got here, the council made some of those changes with unions. They went from 100% to 95%. That was the first step to do that. The other unions, and we've had this discussion as well, I'm telling you, you're looking at 5% and then 10% the year after that. You're going to have more skin in the game. We cannot continue to be able to pay these increases the way they are.
And that was my point to this whole
Exactly.
question. We can't, it's not sustainable.
Sure, I agree.
And I mean, it's not because I don't like somebody or I don't think they're doing a good job, but we as a community have to figure out how we are going to be able to afford this kind of living, cost of living for these people. And I'm not saying they shouldn't get paid a good amount. My point is, but what's a good amount? How can
Exactly.
we do that when we have people who are losing their houses or not even getting insurance because they're paying taxes? I mean, there are situations out there that are really critical, and I don't think we're looking at everything totally.
Well, I think we are, because I looked at what those other communities are paying competitively and the level of service. Dave just told you how many years of service he has. These other people, one of them has 3 years of service, and he's making 155 in a neighboring community right beside us.
But
He's
is
got
he
a lot more
getting, is he
experience.
getting 100% health insurance?
I don't
At
know
that
what- I don't know what
155?
they
We
pay
don't
for
know.
that.
That comes at a cost.
He doesn't get 100% health insurance either.
Oh, what does he get? 90?
No, 95 now.
95. Well, I mean, we don't know what they're getting, whether it's 60, 70, 80, we don't know. So that's an unknown.
So when it comes to why did I do
Apples to
that?
apples.
As I just told you, I need to retain the quality people. If I lose one of these finance people, trying to make up for that even the time it takes just to do that, we are at a significant loss. It's going to cost a lot more money at the end of the day.
I understand what you're saying. I
if
do.
you let
But
me
how do we
finish
right
what
that
I'm saying.
ship? We're saying all of this. We have to raise all this money. How are we, as a town, and this is a question for all these councilors here and the budget committee, how are we going to be able to justify being able to do all of this, get everything we need, maintain all these buildings when we're falling behind right now? How? What are the plans to grow revenues?
So let me know when you're done so I
Taxing the
can,
heck out of people.
let me know when you're done so I can finish what I had to say.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah,
if I
go
may?
ahead. No, please.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay. So as I indicated, we looked at each of these positions to see what other communities were paying and also what level of, how many years of service those people have. And again, the increases I made still don't put us where we need to be competitive. And if I lose one of those people, there's a significant cost in service reduction when I do that. So the incremental cost of paying them more money is a lot less than losing those people. And to your answer in terms of the long term, you may have less people doing this work. That's just the reality, and that's what other communities are facing as well. So that's, every community's dealing with this. Nobody has the ability to keep up with these insurance rates. And that's why we're making the changes we are, and I can't do it all in one day. Though, for instance, if I take a family plan and I go from 5% down to 10, that's a $4,000 additional cost for that employee. The employees in the lower range, that's more than what they're going to get for an increase. So that's why that has to be done over a period of time. We were fortunate this year, the increases were relatively low, 3%, 2%, which almost never happens. Usually they're double digits, and you folks have seen that. Everybody else has as well. So that's what we're faced with.
And I'm glad we're having this conversation because it needs to be heard. Not just by, one counselor or two counselors or department head. It needs to be heard what the state truly is of the town and what actions we have to take. That was my point of bringing this whole thing up, was to have this brought out and put out here for everybody to hear where we stand. Sorry.
Well, that's good.
Well, one I'll say is not one or two councilors have heard this. All of us have been told about what the wages are and how hard it is to hire people and where things are going employment-wise. It's not one or two of us have heard this. So that's just a complete misnomer.
You heard the whole story he said to you just
Yeah.
now?
He has told us this.
He told you and maybe other people, but maybe
He's-
not everybody.
He has told all five of us.
How do you know that, Ted? How do you know that? I'd like to know.
Well, we did actually. We had.
No, but I want to know. I mean,
Okay. Let's,
kind of weird.
okay, go ahead, sir, and then we'll get back on the budget.
Yeah, let's get back to the budget.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think
Go
that's a
ahead.
good point.
Okay. Sean, I cut you off. You had a question.
Yeah, a couple follow-ups on this. So when we were going through the raises, there's a town manager raise in there? Mm-hmm. You gave yourself a raise?
No, you did.
We did?
We had this discussion, if you remember, when I presented the budget.
No, if I did, I'm forgetting.
So it's important, and I think this is a good example
Can I-
because
Can I chime in real quick?
wait, just before you do. So the council made a decision. Your previous town manager, his contract was $140,000 a year.
Oh, okay,
Just let me
so
finish,
this-
please. $140,000 a year. You went and advertised for a position at $180,000 a year. So, and credit to former Councilor Farrell, he negotiated that. In fact, Ted, you were with it.
Yeah, I understand
we-
where this came from. It
Right.
isn't you gave yourself a raise. This was when we hired you.
Right.
That amount goes up in the budget. So
Right.
that's why, no.
But my point is, you
So-
felt the need to do that because you had to compete in the marketplace for someone to fill this job. So
Yeah.
the council made that, so exactly what you did is the same thing that I am doing. So anyway, there's that, and then go ahead, Justin.
Okay.
I was just going to emphasize that at the time of the budget, there were several positions that show a significant increase there that weren't filled. So they came in lower, and the town manager being one, where we were able to somewhat account for it based on what it was posted at, but we still were lower than what was initially budgeted.
Yes, it's, the confusion comes in when you're listed as things that have gone up. That's not something that's happened since, the list we had was since you've been here, so that's where I was confused seeing that in there, going, oh, I understand what happened there.
And it essentially is because what we had budgeted for this
Yeah.
year was the 140,
Yeah, I
but yet we
fully
hired
get
him
it.
at a different rate.
I fully
And
get
the
it.
request was for the whole department.
I
So we
understand.
just gave all positions.
I get it. Second question. So the town admin, did we hire her at 70 and go up to 90 since we've hired her?
Yes.
So
No,
Well,
no,
she has a salary increase too during the year. Go ahead.
we hired her closer to 72, 73.
Okay.
And the 90 you have to keep in mind is
With
COLA and merit from this year and next.
okay, so that's not an increase from the previous position. That's a she's been in the position and got a raise since she's been in the position.
Correct.
So
So for fiscal year 26, this current budget, it was budgeted at $67,038. That is not what we hired the individual at.
okay. So if we hire someone and they take a job, I don't feel like they're, especially since it's been a couple months, they're in danger of leaving or in danger of being unhappy with the position that they just took.
You don't?
No, I
So
don't
you-
think
you-
people just start a new job and then go, you know what, I need a significant raise more to stay here. That seems strange to me.
Dave just had someone leave in 2 days.
Oh, yeah, true. Okay.
So unfortunately, and again, you folks know this, it's to find trained, qualified people is challenging. And you're going to lose them because what's going to happen is they're looking over their shoulder and someone says, I'm going to pay you a little bit more, come work for me.
Yes, that
And they do.
happens.
And then there's a significant degradation in service between the time that happens when they leave us, we try to hire somebody else, get them up to speed. And as you know, Tanya's still trying to figure out the job. She's been on the job a couple weeks more than I have, trying to figure it out. So all of that, you have to factor all that in, their ability to do that work, figure it out, make mistakes, do those sorts of things because they're new. And do we want to start that all over again? I don't.
I guess never in my 20-plus years of managing have I generally thrown a raise out months after someone started. But I'll keep going. So like with finance, and I say that because they're visible, they've worked here for years. So I mean, yes, and I think they do wonderful work, and I do think they do deserve more, but it's just, I guess part of where my angst with this comes in is 132,000, as we're talking about 400,000, that is put into the default that we have not seen. So we get to kick around old home day fireworks and things like that. But this happened to us. We didn't decide this. We didn't go over painstakingly this. We've got $50 lines we're going over, and this would be, 25% of what we're looking for, a little over. And so that it's just being in on those decisions that when we're doing this, it's like we've made half the picture and half the picture is decided for us. And so I guess that's why I don't do it often, but I'm agreeing with Deb on when she brought up this point. It doesn't sit right with me. And just, yes, I get there's a market and there's other communities, but yep, we're Londonderry. Londonderry leads the way. We've done things a certain way. If we just come in and go, in 3 months, I'm going to try to get everybody up to par around what I see the average, that's not a good evaluation, I feel like, of the entire situation. But, okay, that's all I've got on it. We can go on to other stuff.
Go ahead, Jim.
First of all, Justin, Finance, I want to say thank you for what you guys do. I hear it from my son all the time. Don't know why you do it. Because you can make more in the private sector. All right? You're doing a lot of time in here. I understand what town manager's saying. I've brought this up in the past. Why are we losing people? Okay? And we lose people, and I'm looking at it differently now because I know when I was working here, 28 years, I stayed with this department. I saw a lot of people stay. This new generation, they don't do that. They look at what can we make down the road somewhere else, and they'll go somewhere other place. So I understand trying to retain people. It's a difficult situation, but it's also more expensive, I think, if we're going to lose people and we're going to start training people all over again. It's going to cost us more money. So I am one of the few up here that's saying, we need to try to retain our people as much as we can. I know it's difficult. People go in and they vote these salaries in. They vote these benefits in. We've negotiated them. I mean, when I worked here, people would say to me, my pay was really not that great, Sean. And they'd say, why do you stay? I mean, do better in your business. And I said, benefits, retirement. Benefits and retirement. And I stayed because of that, Unfortunately, this new generation, when I talk to people, they're like, they could care less about, retirement. They're looking at tomorrow. What can we make tomorrow? I'll go to Massachusetts. We hear from the chief over there that says we lose people to Massachusetts because they can make more, So that's my 2 cents on that. And I got other things we want to talk about on the budget.
I just want to
Yeah.
talk about what Dan's talking about.
Sure, yeah, good.
So, you're talking about police, which is different than the departments we're talking about that got the raises.
Yep.
These people have all been with us for a long time. I don't know if any of them were unhappy with their job. I don't know if any of them were thinking about leaving. The only two that I can see that are new is planning department head, which has been here 3 years, and Tara, who's only been here 6 months, like the manager, and the town manager. Everybody else has been here for a bit. And if they were unhappy, why weren't they bringing this forward all along, year after year, asking for small raises, asking for more benefits? Why is it that all of a sudden it's this, like, we're not talking a little jump, you're talking 16%. That's a huge jump, and that also includes, the full insurance and all of that other stuff. So that's my point. It's not the police. It's not a contracted union thing. It's separate. It's a, whatever they are, I forget the name already. But I just wish that it had been happening at a more manageable rate over years. So the question falls as to, are we talking to these people as a council? Maybe we have to do it as the manager. I don't know if the old managers did this or not. I don't know if they actually sat down with HR and these guys and say, are you happy in your job? What can we do? I mean, I have no idea if any of that was being done. And if it hasn't been, then there's a problem with that department.
So I agree with Councilor Paul, this should have been done over the years, but it wasn't. That's why.
But I don't understand if it had been an emergency or not. Was it an emergency? Was Justin so unhappy that he was going to leave tomorrow, that he wouldn't be happy saying, okay, I understand the situation of the budget, and I'm not meaning to speak to you, I'm just using you as an example. Sorry, Justin. Because Justin knows how I feel about him. He does an amazing job. He's been here for a long time, and he's responsive, he's due diligent, and I'm not saying he's not deserving of it, but where'd the breakdown happen of, why isn't that happen? Who dropped the ball? What department dropped the ball?
So I don't know that because I wasn't here prior to 6 months ago. So you'd have
What
to answer.
department runs that?
You'd have to answer that question because I wasn't here.
Yeah,
So
good job.
the other thing is, I don't wait till emergency occurs. I deal with it before it becomes an emergency. That's what we should be doing, and that's what I've done. I've taken a proactive step to do that, and that's why I have done what I have done. And I don't have any questions about that it was the right thing to do.
I'm not saying it wasn't the right thing. I'm just wishing it was done
I agree.
in
It should have
smaller
been,
bites rather than
It should have
ramming
been.
the apple down
but it wasn't.
the throat.
But that doesn't mean, I guess, jump up and do it down. To Deb's point, like,
No, I'm not
nobody in this
saying-
community has got a 16% raise pretty much in the last year, probably. I think people are, as we're trying to help people out and people are struggling with some things, to jump it up that much, it could have been stepped, yep, people didn't do that before, but that doesn't mean it has to all be done at once this year. 132,000 is a lot, and it's a visibility issue, frankly. Like, we're debating all these other little things, and we just get this unilateral decision.
The most important thing we have is our people. That is the most important resource that I have here to provide services to our citizens. Without that, we can't do anything. All the vehicles would sit there with no staff in them.
Yeah, they're all important. I understand
Right.
that.
So
But
I made
that
it-
doesn't mean we pay them $500,000 each. Like, there's a limit. There's a way to go about this, to do this in a manner that it spreads out the cost effectiveness for the town. We can't have everything we want in this budget. There's a lot of things we want in this budget. There's some things the firefighters want with new positions. There's a lot of other new things, and they're not all getting what they want right now. So on this, it seems like you got what you wanted right now,
Did I?
while everybody else doesn't, and that's troublesome to me.
So no one got a $500,000 raise as you just
No, I
indicated.
know. I'm even over exaggeratory to make a point, because
Well, you are exaggerating. That's the issue.
Yes, with hiring people, I've had some underpaid people, I've had some overpaid people, but there are people who will chase money and they'll go to the top of the line paying job. And those are people who don't stay for the culture, they don't stay because it's a good town, and the second they're paid $10,000 more, they move to the next position, and that happens. You can't just always try to buy everybody. You got to create a good environment. You've got to have a place people want to work, and we have that in this town, which is why we retain great talent like Justin and Sarah over there, because we have a great place to work, and it's the intangibles of it. You can go chase money elsewhere and work in a less competitive environment. And I'm not even disagreeing with the raises. I'm just saying it's a big chunk at once.
Right, so I'm not trying to do it all at once. I've made changes, but this, as I told you before, it still doesn't put you in a competitive place. When we looked at the salaries of what other people in the similar positions with less years of service are making, we're still not there. So I didn't try to do it all at once.
But the best predictor of behavior is the predictor of past behavior. And last year we were doing it, and we were doing it for 16% less. Would we retain all those people? No. Would we have lost all of them? Probably not. Would we have lost 75% of them? Probably not. I don't know that this was a necessary step to retain all those people.
So Sean, can I add something to that? I look at the three of you were involved in hiring the town manager. And you saw what the talent was out there, what you had out there. And it went from 140 to 170, all right? Because in order to attract the best that you wanted, you had to go up on her salary. Instead of saying to him, hey, it's 140. You probably wouldn't have gotten him for 140.
Actually, no, it didn't really go about that way. When we actually saw his qualifications, that justified that to fill that position, which is a one-person position. The amount of town managers, it's a very rare position. It's a lot more rare than any other position in this town. So yes, that justifies, and I'm not saying it doesn't on a case-by-case basis. I'm saying when we have this amount and it all adds together, I question that each and every one of those cases equaled that situation, because it's a lot and 16% is a lot. He wasn't already employed here. That also makes a difference, because when people are employed here, they're either generally happy or they're not speaking up, one of the two. And you can give people a 5-6% raise, which is more than other people are getting, and they're gonna be happy that you value them and moving them up. I don't have to give somebody a 16% raise to let them know they're valued. If generally, if an employee's making 10% more than he's making last year, they are probably really happy with that amount. I don't think they're gonna go, well, you know, I could get more on the open market and you just gave me a 10% raise, I'm out. That, I've not really ran into that situation before, and I've done this a long time.
The thing I have an issue with, Sean, and it's just, when you talk to people in business, and they'll say, I lost employee X, and he was making X amount of dollars. I had to go out and hire somebody at more than what I was paying that person. I'm paying more now than what I had, and I had experience, I had, you know, good employee. That's a concern I have, that's, you know,
Yeah, I
worry
understand
about
all that.
I worry about that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, so I
And you
think about
should.
that, I think about that, so.
And you should, and that's why there needs to be a more vibrant way, a better culture for the people who work here to be able to know what the steps are and where they're going and what they're getting. And I don't know if that exists in this town. There's not, I don't believe that culture exists.
But I think there's a communication that was broken for years on this, and I think he's trying to correct it.
I understand that
so-
he's trying to correct it, and I applaud him for correcting it, but I just wish it wasn't in such a big chunk, because when I look at cutting and trying to figure things out, it's, you know, just kind of,
And it would be nice if we could step it up like we do with the rest of the budget. This seems off kilter from the rest of the budget that we're spending. It seems like a lot more of correcting versus what we're doing to help out other departments in this town.